Factually inaccurate. Morally correct. This is Babylon Bee Radio. Our top story. President Biden announced plans this week to forgive $10,000 in student loan debt for anyone making less than $125,000 per year. In completely unrelated news, the nation's colleges and universities announced plans to immediately raise tuition by $10,000.
Look, Jack, here's the deal. No malarkey at all. Not a joke,
said Biden before an aide had to step in and explain that he was signing an order to forgive student loan debt. Dr. Charles Moneybags, director of the National Association for the Advancement of College Professors, says he applauds the president's decision.
We're very excited that a college education would be more affordable for the next generation of art history majors. Due to an unfortunate concurrence of high inflation, global warming, and the upcoming solar eclipse in 2024, we've all had to raise our tuition by $10K. Plus, we've had to spend a ton of money building safe spaces and bathrooms for all the new genders.
Dr. Moneybags then invited the press corps to his summer home in the Hamptons to show off the new helipad he had installed next to his swimming pool. On the heels of the student loan debt announcement, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is pushing the White House to offer the same relief to Americans with outstanding bar tabs.
If little Johnny Gender Studies can get their student loan debt forgiven, then hard-drinking Americans should have similar benefits,
said Ms. Pelosi as she staggered through the hallways outside the House chamber.
It's not right that people should be saddled with enormous bar tabs for their entire lives.
Though some lawmakers voiced support for Pelosi's idea, other members of Congress, such as Ohio's Jim Jordan, were not as excited about it.
The speaker's clearly trying to benefit from Biden's attempt to buy the vote to the American people. We Midwestern yokels aren't here to subsidize Ms. Pelosi and her husband guzzling 100 gallons of Cabernet, whatever you call it. Real Americans drink cheap beer and pay their own dang bar tabs.
Meanwhile, insider trading expert and husband of the Speaker of the House, Paul Pelosi, has pleaded guilty to a DUI charge and has been sentenced to live with Nancy Pelosi again after 5 days in prison.
You recklessly put innocent lives in danger, and I have no choice but to make an example of you. In 5 days' time, you will fly out to Washington, D.C. and move in with your wife, Nancy. May God have mercy on your soul.
Paul Pelosi will be forced to wear an ankle monitor, which will prevent him from leaving the premises. His legal team is appealing the sentence. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky has acknowledged an apparent link between those who believe in high-level government shadow conspiracies and not having myocarditis. According to the agency's findings, quote, total nutjobs appear to be immune to the little-known heart condition, leaving experts puzzled.
When the pandemic first hit, we knew absolutely everything about the virus and immediately imposed common-sense health guidelines that were not completely made up. However, these new findings seem to suggest that not taking everything government authorities say as gospel truth may save your life. Strange.
Health experts have been unable to determine why such a correlation between conspiracy theory and low myocarditis rates exist. Early speculation that it's because, quote, wackos who believe in Bigfoot are the same ones not taking experimental vaccines was dismissed because that would suggest there was something wrong with the vaccines and the government would never lie about them being safe and effective. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the nation's top infectious disease expert, has blasted the CDC's report suggesting that it was itself a government conspiracy.
Let's look at the facts. Conspiracy theorists think the moon landing was faked and that JFK was shot by a turtle in a hamster suit. Therefore, the vaccines are safe and effective. They literally annihilate the virus within your body and keep it from spreading to anyone.
Dr. Fauci has since been diagnosed with COVID-19 and has announced his retirement. In a follow-up to that story, the entire world is now in a panic at the news that Dr. Fauci, the living embodiment of science itself, will be retiring in December. The scientific community is already announcing mass resignations now that the high priest and mediator between mankind and the laws of nature will be gone. Experts are predicting a dangerous rise in superstition, divination, and Twitter misinformation without the wise and infallible words of Fauci there to guide humanity towards safety and ultimate perfection. In the wake of this announcement, millions of beagle puppies ran for cover, hid under sofas, and cowered in fear, said one beagle owner.
I'm not sure if this strange beagle phenomenon is related to Fauci's retirement and the abundant free time he'll soon have, but as soon as the news hit CNN, my puppy dove through a glass window and flagged down a taxi. I haven't seen him since.
Investigators theorize that beagle pups don't take kindly to being paralyzed and having their vocal cords sliced while carnivorous insects eat their faces and they slowly die in one of Fauci's NIH-funded labs. Sources say owners are being forced to coax their beloved pets from hiding places using treats, chew toys, and the calming reassurance that Dr. Fauci will never come to get them. Discarded Uhaul trucks abandoned by Californians immigrating to Texas have been repurposed as over 600 miles of new border wall along the America-Mexico border,
The state has been inundated with an influx of U-Hauls because of all the Californians leaving the state.
said Henry Googleface, lead engineer of the Texas Border Wall Project.
We were hesitant to send the trucks back to California because we are so tired, so desperately tired of Californians. Utilizing the excess U-Haul trucks for the border wall killed 2 birds with one stone.
The new stretch of border wall fills in gaps east of El Paso, where migrants have been traveling into the country by the thousands. Now, though Hispanics have been braving an unforgiving desert landscape and river water to reach America, they are finding themselves stopped cold by a pile of U-Haul trucks haphazardly thrown together. Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
Nothing can pay to trade our Great Wall. It's been so successful, we're considering building a wall around the entire state just to keep other Americans out. Yeah, boy! Woohoo!
At airtime, shares of budget truck rental stock have surged as Californians resort to U-Haul alternatives in a desperate attempt to leave their state behind. A clip from a live Q&A with the cast and crew of Amazon's upcoming The Lord of the Rings: The Rings of Power television series went viral this week when the showrunners clarified any resemblance to the works of Tolkien was purely coincidental. In the viral clip, showrunner J.D. Payne was asked if fan favorite Tom Bombadil would appear in the Amazon original series.
I don't know who that is. What I can tell you is that The Rings of Power is a story of class struggle and rebellion against gender-normative stereotypes and the pursuit of Galadriel's personal truth as she acknowledges her white elvish guilt and encourages the elvish communities to depart Middle-earth for the Grey Haven, leaving the land to its rightful indigenous tribes of orc and dwarvish kind. We go well beyond the scope of Tolkien and don't have time for more male characters like whoever Tom Bombadil is.
An audience member pointed out that the orcs are corrupted versions of the elves, so the elvish would be the indigenous peoples of the land.
Look, any actual reference to Tolkien beyond the setting is to be taken as purely coincidental. We want to limit our association with him as much as possible since he was born in 1892 and therefore racist.
Fans of Tolkien have accused the Rings of Power producers of dismissing any associations with Tolkien as an excuse for not properly researching and developing the show's script. However, Payne's fellow showrunner Patrick McKay clarified that it doesn't matter if something is true to the source material as long as it makes significant headway on the road to true social equity.
The entire impetus behind the series is to show that women are spunky and exactly like men. And also that there are no women, just elves and orcs. And also that calling them orcs is prejudice. And that Black Dwarf lives matter.
The show's producers have since confirmed that Bombadil will likely appear in Season 2, although the character will now go by the name Tanya Bombadil. Now you're up to date on the only news that matters. Find more fake news you can trust at BabylonBee.com. Until next time, this is Austin Robertson, the voice of the Babylon Bee. So long.